Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome. Let's see what the cards have to say, shall we? Making our way into some sixth house activity, which is great. Focusing on work, getting stuff done, being productive, having a lot of opportunity to grow and to progress in needed areas. To kind of reflect and maybe do the hermit mode thing if you need to. Interesting. This also came out for Scorpio as the very first card. So Scorpio being relevant to you because it sits in your 12th house, right? House of your subconscious. So, people are acting kind of strange, Pluto square Saturn, Venus square Saturn, Venus square Pluto, right? Venus squaring both of them plus the nodes. There's this air of change, and some people really are like, oh my God, I'm not ready for change. Like, we just went through so much, and they might not be handling it super well. There may also be an element of you needing to decide something, maybe between an old and new self. An old way of habits and patterns and a new kind of thing that is good for you, but still you're like not ready. So there could be a teeter-tottering effect going on for you in that regard. Either way, if you're not sure how to handle someone else or you're not sure how to handle yourself, it's best to take a beat, watch yourself, watch your step, and just kind of let things unfold organically, because life is going to give you the answers. It's going to give you the path that you need to take. You don't really need to work so hard. It's just a matter of like letting life flow. And Sagittarius can definitely do that. That's one thing that I actually really admire about your sign and the people that I know who are Sagittarians is just their ability to just take it one day at a time and just, we can handle anything, kind of attitude, which is great. Okay. Well, and this might be you. Maybe this is you here, looking on to your Queen of Swords who is reversed. You could be dealing with a Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. This is specifically a card of Libra. So you care, you love, you respect this person. And you also know that you cannot live their life for them. There seems to be a very clear separation between you and them right now. It's not like a oneness kind of thing. It's very distinct. Here's Sagittarius, here's the other person. Fifth house activity will do that, right? This Venus square Pluto, Venus square Saturn in your fifth house, romance, right? But also children. It could be a child. It could be, a work colleague thing, because we do have the sixth house stuff still, and the new moon in Taurus in the sixth house. So there could be something like that, And this is someone that cares for you, but again, they're, or you, this is someone you care for, but again, there's also not that desire to really be there in an unhealthy way, in a codependent kind of way. That is not an option for Sagittarius right now, right? You're strong. You're intelligent, especially emotionally intelligent. You got the nodes in the eighth house right now. It's taking you to where you need to be. That change is happening and you're evolving rapidly and intelligently. So no matter how much you love, no matter how much you care, it's very important that you don't get sucked into any kind of drama. If you're a Sagittarius or you're dealing with a Sagittarius who's being all dramatic right now, then they're probably the Queen of Swords and just feeling very uncomfortable right now. Right? Just feeling like super on edge. And we know that when a Sagittarian gets on edge, they can be really mean. Sometimes they can be, so another one did fall out. I knew another one flipped over. They can be really curt, That's kind of like a stereotype of the sign. If you're a Sagittarius, you don't do that, fine, but just kind of a stereotype thing. So yeah, so there's something going on here. So what? Sagittarius, you're the only upright person. Someone's looking at you and you're looking at someone else. Clearly, the Knight of Cups is not a major player, and yet you still know that they're there. You know that they care about you. You know that they love you. Could also be an essence of yourself, too. Being there in essence, but again, not being that emotional safety net for anybody. And your heart, your emotion, there might be something going on where you're still trying to figure something out. And so you can't be there emotionally 100% for somebody because you're still like trying to figure something out. You're still trying to decide, maybe you're still trying to like, what do I want? Like maybe that's a big question you're asking yourself. What do I want even? What do I want? So there's kind of a mismatch of energy. People might be frustrated that Sagittarius is so independent right now. And what they're needing is a little coddling and a little validation. And I don't know that Sagittarius can be there for someone if they're on the fence. Now, if this is someone that you're totally 100% in with, it's your husband, your wife, your partner, yes, 100%, then of course you'll be there. But again, still, like I said before, with that knowingness that you can't live their life for them and you can't feel the emotions for them. So you just have to kind of like be there and watch, right? Be there and support. And that's as much as you can do. So it's kind of interesting. The vibe is interesting. The Plutonian energy that's at play right now, you can handle it because of the 12th house Scorpio, but it is intense, you know? It just is. It just is. And it's all going to work out just fine. 10 of Cups. It's amazing. You know, this is ultimate joy. A feeling of peace, too. Like this internal rest. I don't know that Sagittarius is all worked up about stuff, really. You may have difficult things in front of you that you have to deal with, but you're not all worked up about it. And hopefully the other person isn't either. You could be dealing with someone, like if you are in love with someone that's really not looking at you, or not paying attention to you, or not really giving you a lot of credence, you know, like their sword is kind of pointing down at this. They could be turning their back on a really beautiful potential with you, and that could be painful for Sagittarius too, because like when a Sagittarius loves, it's like all in, you know, definitely all in. Or maybe this is someone who's living in a delusion too, who's wanting all this stuff and is not very realistic about stuff. You know, it can go so many different kinds of ways. The energy right now is so squirrely. And there's so many different ways that it could manifest. I feel like that Queen of Swords has the potential to dive into that 10 of Cups, and they're really resisting it. And it's making you question, right? It's making you question, okay, well, if they're on the fence about it, then what am I doing? If they're not all in, how, you know, like you're like, well, I can only meet you and be at the same place that you're at. So if you're not all in, then I can't really be all in either. And there's something with that Knight of Cups coming up from behind, you know, like I said here, coming up from behind you, either a totally separate person, maybe there's 3 people, or it's a part of yourself emotionally that's like knows that you can't really be there 100%. There's resistance, there's hesitation here. And then the Page of Cups comes out upright. Okay, and the Page of Cups upright is a beautiful card for at least opening the door of something. There's at least some kind of communication, a text message, a Facebook message, maybe you sit down for coffee, you know, but the thing that I have issue with, or the thing I take issue with the Page of Cups, is that it's a little too surface level. So when we have the Page of Cups and the Knight of Cups reversed, there's like a depth that needs to be reached, but then also it's not getting reached, causing a little bit of a few problems. So maybe there's an issue on the table and you're both kind of like avoiding it, kind of walking around the perimeter of the issue in denial, or like just not wanting to create the awkwardness, not wanting to create the additional tension, you know, which is not very Sagittarius-like. The Sagittarians in my life, like they are actually very mature in that way. Like if there's an issue, let's talk about it. Let's get it on the table. So you might be acting a little out of character right now. And that's fine, but because you're just responding to someone else's energy and what someone else is giving you or not giving you. Page of Cups can often come in the form of an apology. If you owe someone an apology, right, Sagittarius, if you owe someone else an apology, just apologize. because I think this person is eating themselves alive, and if someone owes you an apology, it's very possible that you may get it. This is kind of Venus square Pluto. What can I say? This is a time when people feel that regret. They feel like, oh my God, what have I done? Because it drudges it up, it drudges up all the junk that's like really deep inside and hasn't been addressed. And so it's like, it's like comeuppance. It's time to like go to confession, really, is what it is. So some of you might get what you're really needing. You might get what you're really needing so that you can fully open, you can fully be there. You're all about expressing yourself. You're all about talking. You're all about like, let's sit down and be mature about this. But clearly someone else is turning their back to you. And if you're the one playing the games, don't, because if you're playing games, then you're not ever going to get what you need to hear. It's never going to come to you. You have to open the door. And what comes is exactly what you want, 10 of Cups. We don't have to be afraid of the 10 of Cups. We don't have to be afraid that we might get it. We don't have to be afraid if we don't get it. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's the more if you're going to be afraid of anything, be afraid of blockage of energy within yourself. That's what you should be afraid of, right? Because blockage of energy, when you don't express emotion, when you don't feel emotion, like whether it's laughing or crying or anger or punching, if you don't feel the emotion, that energy builds up and it eventually can turn into like sickness or blockages of the heart energy, and you don't let love in, and then it becomes problematic, and then you start dating people who are emotionally distant or be like, it's this whole big thing, right? So let the energy flow through you. If conflict needs to happen, just let it happen. I don't know. It's heated, The energy is heated. The energy is stubborn. The energy is deep. There's a lot of contenders right now, Oh, 5 of Wands reversed. It's not about the pettiness. And I don't usually see you as a petty sign. Like Scorpio, yeah, I'll throw them under the bus a little bit, right? I mean, like Leo, yeah, they can definitely like participate in that petty banter. But Sagittarius is more like raw. It's just like, let's just get it out. Like, I'm not going to pussyfoot around this thing, So it's a blessing. It's a gift that you have. So you don't need to avoid that gift. And then you have, potentially the other person who's playing that game. And like, if you don't let them play that game, then they can't play that game. You both have to agree to play the game if you're going to play it. So if you don't agree, then it can't be played. I love the King of Wands upright for you. That's exactly what I think you guys are needing. Wow, 3 major arcana coming out at the bottom. Let's start with these 2 first. See? High Priestess reverse. Whenever it comes out reverse, I'm like, oh my God, like something's going to come out. Like it cannot be contained. This Page of Cups is actually like a really beautiful way for the High Priestess reversal stuff to like come out in some kind of a nice, kosher, amenable, like really agreeable kind of way, in a way that's graceful and in a way that is, not going to threaten the other person or make the other person feel uncomfortable. So, I mean, this is probably the best possible way this could have manifested. So that's great. The only problem is just how deep, how many layers do you really peel down with the Page of Cups, right? Because it's probably going to be one layer at a time. Like you're going to reveal one little thing, right? This indicates that there's still probably unknown stuff. And I said this with Scorpio too, like there's probably some stuff that you don't know, you don't even know, or you don't even know that you don't know. Maybe it's some kind of transgression that happened, or maybe it's some kind of betrayal that happened, or maybe it's some kind of pattern or habit that this person has that you kind of wouldn't like or whatever. But again, layers. Let it be revealed one little thing at a time. It's kind of like that game that you you play, right, with the when you were a kid, like in the movies with the flower petals. He loves me not. He loves me, he loves me not. It's like one petal at a time, one little thing at a time until you get to the end result, and then that kind of all comes to you kind of get the whole picture at that point. So Page of Cups is a soft delivery, and it's layered. The Knight of Cups reversed is just really afraid to reveal itself, and if it's a third, like, you might not even know that you may have some kind of a third party person looking at you. You might not even know that someone cares very deeply for you. It's possible, just the way the cards are situated, I have to leave that in as an option. That's an option for you. Although I don't see you going with that Knight of Cups if that's the case. Like, your attention is very much geared toward the Queen of Swords, like really a lot, even if communication's not super great right now. High Priestess reversed also suggests that your intuition is really high. I mean, it's really heightened, psychic ability is really strong. The way you intuit things really fierce. And so even if this person, this Queen of Swords, doesn't directly come out and say exactly what they're thinking or exactly what they're feeling, you're going to know it. And you need to trust that knowingness, because it's going to help guide you and help you navigate the situation, especially if this is someone that you really love and care about and don't want to see leaving your life. If you're kind of hanging on to something, maybe by a thread, the threat of them moving on and leaving is really, it's actually pretty high, but it gets less so if you are intuitive and can weirdly anticipate what they're feeling. Do you know what I mean? They're just quiet, right? And when I say leaving, what I just mean is like just getting more distant and not talking. Not to say that there's going to be a breakup or a divorce, because I don't see that in the cards at all. It's just like there's so much distance between the two of you. It's emotional distance, it's communication distance, it's just kind of all over the board. And even if communication is happening, right, it's still just kind of high. So someone may still feel a little misunderstood. Sagittarius, if this is someone that you really love and you really care about and you absolutely 100% want to see them like stay in your life, the best solution for you is to like grab them by the hand and be like, we're going to talk about this, and to ask them how they feel. To let them unload their perspective of the whole thing. Let them say what they think of you. Let them say how they experience something. Let them say what kind of things it brought up, and then ask them questions, not in like a real probing, like let's get to the bottom of your psychological trauma kind of way, but like, babe, really tell me, and be honest, and to encourage honesty, because I think you can handle it. You can handle it a lot better than they can handle it. They're not going to be able to handle your honesty right now, but you can handle theirs. And for some reason, I see you in kind of like the power seat here. And what happens when you do that is they blossom, and then they become the Empress, right? These are both cards of Libra. They're connected. The beginning of the reading and the very end of the 9-card block. The beginning and the end. It starts off with a Queen of Swords reversed, and it ends as a Libra. Okay, it doesn't have to be a Libra. It can be totally any sign. Capricorn, Aquarius, Gemini, doesn't matter, okay? But they blossom into the fullness of their essence because they feel safe, right? Because they feel safe. And because they feel like they're really being heard. If you're dealing with someone who's very narcissistic and you notice that they're just really not telling you how they're feeling or what they're thinking, and they're just continually blaming or projecting, then that's not a relationship that you should be in anyway, because it's unhealthy. So when you start opening the door and inviting their communication, they're going to tell you everything you need to know about them and their experience. And it's going to tell you like if this is really the relationship for you or not. This is a childish kind of behavior. This is like a lower expression of a Queen of Swords. Icing someone out, cutting someone off, cold shoulder, silent treatment. I mean, that's like child stuff. And it has the potential, if someone gets stuck there, if someone gets stuck in those kinds of, attachments to their beliefs and their personality and attached to their ego things or whatever, then that's an uphill battle that I don't think Sagittarius really wants to fight right now, to be honest. So some of you actually may be cutting something off if the person gets stuck at the Queen of Swords reversed and doesn't want to evolve or to blossom into the Empress energy. Which I know that you see them as an Empress or an Emperor. You see them as such, but they need to feel that way, and they need to feel safe to feel that way too. Okay? So open the door. If you feel like this is worth it, open the door. You're going to have to initiate because you are the more mature one right now. Okay? You're the more mature one. So I'm going to put the camera down. We'll continue to pull cards. Let me just get this adjusted here. Oh. I ordered something that would help make my angle like so much better, and it got delivered in the mail, and then it was completely the wrong part, so I had to send it back. So hopefully next month I will have the proper equipment. Cool. So, okay. The other deck here. Hierophant and the Fool, more major arcana. Boom. You're really sitting in your seat of power here, no question about it. The Hierophant is someone who genuinely knows who they are. And when I say knows who they are, what I don't mean, well, I like this and I like that. It has nothing to do with your preferences. It has nothing to do with even, the way you do something or behavior. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the essence of self, the essence of soul, the essence of mind. It's the absolute power within. And it's not even like someone who watches, a lot of YouTube and they're like, I know I'm a universe, or I know I'm a light inside, or I know. It's not like that. Knowing who you are transcends everything. And you are becoming more in tune with that. You might not be all the way a Buddha, okay? Who is, except for like a few people in Tibet, right? Who is, but you're getting closer. And you're taking that path on with a sense of pride and dignity, and you are sitting in your seat of dignity and self-respect and self-value. And I think you're ready for a whole new kind of set of challenges in your life. I think you're ready for a whole new set of doors to open up for you. And I think you're really excited about it, and I think there's a lot of optimism about it. And I think some of you really want this person to come with you. As long as they can be this. So that you can be the King of Wands, right? This is a card of Leo, so the king, like of everything. So you can be the king of everything. So you can be the king of your kingdom, and you can be, set free and all of this. Because I think actually what's happening is this scenario is actually a threat to this freedom that you love so much. It's a threat because this behavior on behalf of this other person, not saying you're perfect, I'm not saying you didn't help co-create it, right? But this behavior, this shoulder turned, icy cold, silent treatment or whatever, it's codependent and it's attention seeking and it's ridiculous. And I think you're like, oh my God, really? and the lunar eclipse change. Okay, well, that's obvious. Venus square pseudo. Okay, well, we can put Saturn and Pluto together. Venus square pseudo. Okay. And they're going to be crossing with Uranus. We've got the new moon, which is amazing. And then the full moon in Scorpio, 12th house, later on in the month. So yeah, it's going to be a thing. Full moon in Scorpio. It's going to be deep, and you're going to be allowed to really release a lot of things. And it's going to be especially cleansing. Now, the 6th house, 12th house axis is especially relevant, okay? It's especially relevant because it has to do with like perfecting oneself, progression, growth, self-knowledge, and then the undoing of all of that. So there is an element of humility for you that comes through. So the more seated in your seat of power that you can be, the more untouched you can be. That's the theme. I'm going to stick with it all year. Being untouchable. No matter what happens on the outside world, and no matter what happens within relationships and at work and with your money and with your family and your friends, like no matter what, if you know who you are, nothing really matters. And you just kind of shrug your shoulders and say, okay, I'm on to the next thing. No problem, right? So let's talk about this Queen of Swords. So this Queen of Swords person is coming from a lot. So these are the cards, by the way, that we'll cover in the comprehensive reading, which will be available. The link will be down in the description box below the video. And I do pull out a lot of cards, so we do talk for like another 20-25 minutes, sometimes more. Not always, but sometimes. Okay, wow. How many major arcana came out? Three major arcana came out for that person. So, you know, they're going through something. You know, they're going through something. This person may perceive you as coming up short, which is why you opening the door and really asking them to disclose stuff about them. Like I said, if someone doesn't speak to you, if they don't talk to you, if they don't want to open up to you, that's, you know, that's on them. And it's possible that some of you may do that and they won't want to talk to you, and that's fine. Okay, I don't even know who the heck this Knight of Cups is. Who is this person? Is it another person? I think on some level it is. Like there's someone looking at you and moving away from you, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this. It's like its whole own little story all on its own. I don't even know. So weird. People can be so weird sometimes, like lurking. Do you have lurkers around you? Like seriously. Okay. Seems to me like you're really ready to tough it out. If you are someone who in the past has bailed easily on people, I don't see you doing that. Especially if it's just like a casual thing and you're like, man, I'm not playing this game, and then you leave. I don't see you doing that with this particular person for some reason. I see you progressing, and I see you thinking that maybe this person's really special. Okay, all right, Judgment coming out reversed again to clarify the Judgment reversed. So, Judgment reversed, there's just a whole bunch of variables. There are too many things that are not known or seen right now. And it's hard because you're being asked to navigate, you're being asked to take action when you really don't know the future. You really can't foresee where it's going. And that can be frustrating for a lot of people because they're like, well, I don't really want to take the risk if it's not worth it. And that's what you're being asked to do. to take a risk without really a feeling of knowing, without a feeling of real security. And that's going to be hard, really hard. But you can do it. Yes, I know I pull out a lot of cards. That's kind of the way these readings go. We talk a lot. So, okay. One more for the lunar eclipse. Ooh, Tower and the Devil. And then back here. Okay, so this is the same person, okay? The Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Cups. So I don't... we'll see where this kind of develops and where my intuition kind of takes me. But as I'm standing right now, like, don't worry about this person if you know who it is. If you don't know who it is, don't worry about it. Seriously, they like you. They see what you've got going on. They want to be a part of what they're going on, but they're not going to be a nuisance. They're not going to be a bother, and they're not going to interrupt what you have. So don't worry about it. Okay. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave you there. If you want to join me for the comprehensive, link will be in the description box. Thank you guys so much. Take care.